Well, greetings and salutations, friends, and good afternoon. I can't tell you how excited I am about today's show. Now, I realize that to some of you, today's topic may seem a little bit out of our usual wheelhouse. After all, we usually cover conspiracies here. But lately, I've been thinking that we have been ignoring and not covering what is perhaps the biggest conspiracy of our lifetime. And it's a conspiracy that can be proven true. That is that the mainstream media, along with big tech and big corporations, have been colluding with our government to lie to us and manipulate us for years, maybe decades. But there is some good news because while the mainstream media lies and dies a slow death, a new independent media is emerging that is thriving. People are hungry for the truth and people are tired of being manipulated and tired of all the lies. Now, one of the most successful people that I know of in that space is today's guest, Ian Crossland. Ian is a musician, artist, free speech and freedom advocate, free and open source software advocate, blockchain advocate. He is the co-founder of Minds.com, one of them, and he is one of the co-hosts of Timcast IRL, an independent news and commentary show that is right now actually beating CNN in live viewers, and that is amazing. Why is the mainstream media dying a slow death, even while being propped up by big tech, big pharma, big money, and our big government? Let's get into it. Let's welcome our guest, Ian Crossland. Good to have you here, Mr. Crossland.
Good to see you, man.
So happy to have you here. There's so much to get into. There's so much to talk about. But I thought we would just begin with the last few years of the mainstream media. My favorite of these things was mostly peaceful protests. I don't understand mostly peaceful protests, and here we see an example of that. There's buildings burning behind the reporter, and he's standing there with a straight face on CNN, saying we're having mostly peaceful protests here. What is your take on the outright lies and manipulation that the media has been pushing for years now?
It's shocking. When I first found out they were doing it, I was like obliteratingly shocked. I guess it was like 2006 or 7. I started making YouTube videos, and then all of a sudden people started commenting like, "You don't know about the Federal Reserve yet. You're going to learn about the Federal Reserve." I'm like, what are these guys talking about?
The creature from Jekyll Island, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, "Ian, the world's not what you think. There's something bigger going on. There's the government, the media." And I'm like, what? And then I found out Operation Mockingbird. Like, you see, the CIA has been working with media for
How about
decades.
Operation Midnight Climax?
What's that one about?
Midnight Climax is where they got a bunch of hookers and started whorehouses, and then they were dosing people unknowingly with LSD for blackmail material and to see what would happen.
Operation. I think I've heard that Charles Manson was involved in that.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Operation Midnight Climax. They had hookers and LSD, and they were unknowingly dosing people.
In San Francisco, I think they had a place set up in San Francisco where they were bringing people in and dosing them, and then telling them God knows what. You see people like Manson coming out of there. I think was Timothy McVeigh, was he involved in that as well?
Yeah, and the Unabomber as well. The Unabomber was involved in a CIA program that involved LSD in his college years before he became the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski.
You want to talk about media manipulation? I wonder how far. I mean, I feel like it goes back to the dawn of man when they'd be like seeding propaganda. It probably, in the beginning, it probably started with lies, like verbal, like telling a lie, and then that would get spread around the court and then around the city, and then they would all believe that the king was dead or something. And then it started as soon as writing was involved. I imagine forged writing. I mean, forgery has been a huge part of media since the early days.
Yeah, and I don't trust the CIA. We see even here we have there's a long history of the CIA employing people in the media. They have a network of several hundred foreign individuals around the world who provide intelligence for the CIA, but more than that, here they say approximately 50 agency assets are individual American journalists. What are American journalists doing, even working for the CIA?
That's powerful. Yeah, it's the world we're in right now.
But I did say in the beginning here that there's some good news. And I want to talk about this because this blew my mind. I didn't realize it. And I thought, this can't be right. Because I've heard that Tim on your show saying, we're beating CNN's live numbers. And I went and looked it all up. And the truth is that you guys are beating even their best show hosts with live views. But they're still doing well with numbers on YouTube because they're artificially propped up. They get the front page, and the big tech keeps propping them up, and they're also propped up by big pharma ads and all of these other huge money interests. But somehow your show, an independent media show, is somehow beating the live numbers of CNN. And that's amazing, right?
Yeah, it speaks to the format for sure. I don't like watching. I mean, I shouldn't just generally say I hate scripted media. A good movie that's scripted is awesome, but like news stuff where they're reading off of prompters. It's my biggest problem with Trump. Probably my biggest problem with Trump was when the day he got elected, the day he got sworn in, I think he gave a speech and went on book. Like he had been off book for his entire.
Yeah, and you could see him looking back and forth to the teleprompters during that speech, and it was off-putting to me.
It wasn't
too.
like, yeah, exactly. It wasn't the Trump I wanted. It wasn't the Trump that I didn't vote for him at the time, but like it wasn't the Trump I was like expecting and needed out of that guy. So when he went on book and like got co-opted by that machine, that media machine that CNN's part of, that like AT&T owns CNN, like how connected are the phone? We know the phone companies will give like the CIA phone records when they're asked for it. That's AT&T.
So will Google. So will Google. So will your ISP. Your ISP will give up your internet search history. And actually, the Congress voted some years ago. I remember reading and being horrified. The Congress voted that ISPs can sell your internet search history to whoever they want. And I wanted to say, why don't all those Congress people that voted for this have to show us their internet search history before they sell or allow people to sell ours, right?
That would be nice.
And you're a big supporter of open source software. And I've heard you talk about a lot of things, especially with the elections, right? Like, why don't we? Well, you've suggested this. Why is the software that runs our elections proprietary and nobody's allowed to look at it?
Dude, why does the CIA set up secret LSD sites and dose people?
I know, it's crazy.
Why are we using this? Is that Dominion proprietary Canadian software? I think they have an American
subsidiary
headquarters. Sure. Yeah. They might have a HQ in America too, so I don't know. Calling them Canadian is accurate, but dude, you want to vote? Have a trusted system where we all decide to vote, but then it goes into a machine that's calculating it, and we don't know what the calculations are doing. Like it could be doing anything.
And nobody's allowed to see the software.
We can't read the code. That's insane for a democratic election. It's backwards.
But open source would solve this problem because anybody would be able to look at the code and see how the votes are being tabulated, whatever aggregation is being done, how the votes are being sent to a central office that is, tabulating each state, for example. We don't know how any of this works. We're just supposed to trust that they're doing it the right way. And that's crazy.
It's nuts. And if you open it, which you should do, open source the code of the voting machines, you got to pick a code that makes it stay open source, because if you take like a code like there are certain types of open code that someone could take a copy of the machine and then change it a little bit and make it proprietary again legally. So you want to make
the license. Yeah,
you want to make the license copy left, like AGPL3, so that if someone takes the code from the machines and tweaks it, it has to stay free and open.
Yeah.
Those are the code. Those are the ones to go for. The licenses to go for.
Yeah, and you've also suggested that the big social media giants should be forced to open source their code so that anybody can compete with them.
Yeah, I think instead of, like, if we're going to do some sort of antitrust, breaking up the company doesn't make much sense to me at this point, since I feel like the actors would still have access to the code. Like if you broke Facebook into Instagram, Facebook Prime, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp.
And the new Meta, that's a whole new nightmare.
they would still have access to that code, a lot of those developers, so that they could rebuild it elsewhere. So you really need to do something with the code, not the corporate structure. I don't want the government to come in and tell them, hey, you have to let these people in, or you can't let these people in. I'd rather have the government's hands off. And
interestingly, you're one of the founders of Minds, which I think has an interesting way of going about social media, and you can actually be rewarded for your posts and people viewing your posts with crypto, right? That's a pretty innovative way. How did you get involved with Minds, and why were you so passionate about trying to do something differently?
I got contacted by Bill, who's the CEO, in 2011, maybe 10 or 11. He was watching my YouTube stuff and asked me if I wanted to come out and help him to Connecticut and help him get it started. So I did. And I wasn't super passionate about software development or anything like that. In the early days, I was more like into acting and performance and production.
Yeah,
So
I saw your IMDb page.
I was in LA.
You did a lot of stuff in LA. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Before YouTube came along, I was only out in LA because I was an actor. YouTube really changed, like internet video changed the trajectory of my life in so many ways. I didn't realize until I started working on Minds the importance of open source and free software code for the future of like AI. You make a proprietary software code AI, it starts writing its own code in private. We're going to get Skynet really fast.
But yeah, I know some coders that are working on AI, and then one of my friends admitted to me, like, he doesn't even know how some of his software is rewriting itself. He can't even understand it.
Wow.
It's like beyond him, like some of the stuff that's going on with AI. And AI is a big danger. We've got Neuralink next year going in people's brains.
Are you gonna
But back to Minds. So it's an interesting concept. You get paid with cryptocurrency for people viewing your posts, and people can tip you in crypto, right?
Yeah. I definitely think as we enter the metaverse or the coming decades where we start to, enter the metaverse, and the big part of the metaverse is economics. We'll be like walking by and I'll see you and I'll like wave my hand and give you some crypto. Then you like, I go to a digital store in the metaverse and buy a red shirt for some crypto, or people can pay me crypto to like stand outside their digital store and like, I don't know. Hey, it's Ian Crossland. Come stand outside my digital store and I'll pay you crypto. And you'll go hang out. Your avatar.
Buy some virtual outfits for your avatar, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the coming world that we're coming to. And I got to tell you, I'm a software guy and I'm like a technology guy, but I'm terrified of Neuralink and the metaverse. I think there's a lot of problems. We did a show last night on Neuralink and all the philosophical problems. Like, what's to stop them from spying on your thoughts? What's to stop them from, listening to your thoughts, right? And, are you afraid about your car? It might be old and dying, and then they'll start serving you car ads constantly because that's on your mind. There's a lot of things, but Minds is interesting in that it's different because it's blockchain based. It's sort of open source model. Anybody could, I suppose anybody could do something like what Minds has already done based on Minds. And I love that, like Linux building on the shoulders of giants, right?
Yeah, you could spin up a copy of Minds right now if you wanted. The code's on GitLab. It's like oh gosh, I don't remember what I was going to say.
Maybe it's a bit like PHP Social and some of the other open source social media network.
Oh yeah, I remember alternatives. It's not on the blockchain. Minds.com is not. It's a centralized service, but the tokens are on the blockchain. Minds is a tech company. A good way to think of Minds is it's a technology company, and Minds.com is like a piece of software that the tech company built. They also has the same name as the company.
Yeah, well, very interesting software though, and a big difference from the situation that you're in. And isn't it strange now that people are pretty much forced to use these platforms whether they want to or not? Like in order to keep up with my family, friends, whatever. Like I have to be on Facebook so I can see my nephew just had a baby. To see the pictures, I kind of have to be on Facebook, or we're almost forced into it. There's no opting out, right?
It has its advantages, that's for sure. Opting in definitely has its advantages. Staying connected. I'm kind of in not every network, but I'm on most networks. I'm not on TikTok. I've heard a lot of stuff that's like
yeah, Yeah, I'm
I
not
haven't messed
doing
with
it
it.
either.
I'm
I'm not
and
doing TikTok either for that exact reason.
I don't mess with LinkedIn. I just don't get much out of it. I never really got much out of it.
Well,
Felt
you have a
more redundant.
page though. You do have a
Yeah, I
page,
have a
but I guess you
LinkedIn
don't use
page.
it. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
So mine's is interesting in that I think it may actually force some changes. If enough people adopt it, I encourage people to adopt all platforms. Right now, we're just adopting new video platforms that are sort of the alternatives. It's interesting too about if we could get back to the media. They lied to us about the Gulf of Tonkin. They lied to us probably about the assassinations of JFK, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and more. They lied about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. They probably lied or cover up many things about 9/11. They lied about Russian collusion and Trump. Let's see, mostly peaceful protests. Recently, all the lies about Kyle Rittenhouse. I just couldn't believe how that went down. And you guys covered that and sort of woke so many people up. I agree with you guys. Like, I know people that swore that Kyle Rittenhouse killed 2 Black people because people reported that, right? The boldness of the lies. It seems like they're getting bolder, like as the manipulation works. Do you think that they're going to get bolder and worse with this stuff, or is independent media going to be able to push them back and
Oh,
make them
that's a
start
good
being more honest?
question. Well, it seems to be trending towards boldness. I was shocked the way that 9/11 was handled. Like, it felt like the government wasn't really even involved in it. They set up some weird commission and shipped off all the evidence, like all that rubble to China really fast. Like, it
Yeah.
just didn't seem like they wanted to figure out what happened, and it was like kind of like rushed to be finished. I worked down there for like three months, and the fireman would be like, "There's molten steel flowing under the pile." I'm like, "Okay, how did an
Yeah.
airplane hit the
None of
building
this
and
makes any sense.
now
Yeah.
there's molten steel flowing for weeks under the building?" Like, that just never made sense to me. And then I started reading about like nanothermite in the dust, that they
And how they got rid of, you're right, they got rid of all the materials super quick.
So it seems like a media hack job again, like a cover up manipulation thing to get us into war, like the Gulf of Tonkin. I imagine, and it was just so brazenly. It feels like it was so brazenly done that now you see like these blatant, just like ramming stuff down your throat, like the RussiaGate crap. I
Yeah.
imagine that companies like AT&T are going to keep doing this. And when I say AT&T, I'm pointing at CNN, who's owned by AT&T. So the blame is at the foot of AT&T on this one. I
Yeah.
don't
And
know
it seems like,
how deep the CIA is involved in that right now. They're pretty good at covering their tracks.
yeah. And I remember the weapons of mass destruction. They just beat that into our heads, right?
Yeah,
It's
I
just
believe
like
it.
every time you turned on the television at the time, they've got weapons of mass destruction. We've got to do something about it. They've got weapons of mass destruction. We've got to do something about this. Turns out they didn't have any of that.
Yeah, or maybe some people are like, hey, he did actually have weapons of mass destruction when they were talking about it. I've never really seen evidence for it. I heard that he had chemical weapons storage. I think they were gone by the time that our troops got there. But there was
Or he had
never
already, I know that he used chemical weapons on his own people at one point in time,
that's what
and
we
in
were
the
told.
Iran-Iraq war. Yeah, that's what we're told. You're right. I don't have verification of that, so I don't know that to be true. But it's interesting how the media just beat that drum along with the government. Weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction. We got to do something about him. We got to do something about him. And the next thing you know, we have Halliburton and all of these corporations making billions of dollars in Iraq, and they still have control of some of the oil supplies in Iraq. ExxonMobil comes in, and all these multinational oil companies come in once the U.S. is in control. So for many, it was about the oil, right? Or
Yeah, the oil
resources.
and the poppy, the heroin that they were getting,
Oh
the
yeah.
opioids. Well, that was Afghanistan. They got a lot of opioids out of Afghanistan. That it felt like one big job to me in a lot of ways. They were like 9/11, let's go get him. We got to go get Saddam or Osama. And you're like, what the hell's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah, we're like, wait a minute. There's no clear cut and direct evidence that Saddam had anything to do with it. Now, granted, he was a bad guy. He was terrible to his own people. But sometimes I think we should just stay out of other conflicts and just worry about ourselves. We've got veterans that are homeless, can't get medical care. We've got homeless people all over California, right? We've got poor people that are starving right in our own country. Maybe we ought to take care of our own people first before we
Yeah.
get involved in foreign conflicts.
Yeah, I'd like to see the U.S. military used to build solar power water condensers. I don't know if you've studied those things
Yeah,
much.
I know exactly what that is. They should be doing that in Africa and foreign
Oh
countries and
yeah,
third world
man.
nations.
All over the world. Talk about world peace and like establishing a good reputation for the United States.
Yeah, I mean, if you give water to someone who's dying of thirst, they're going to consider you a friend for a long time. If you give food to a starving man or you teach him how to farm and be self-sufficient, that's the good things that we should be doing instead of like let's just drop bombs on everybody, you know. That seems to be our only skill though. We're good at dropping bombs on people.
Northrop Grumman.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about Northrop Grumman. It's amazing. They advertise on CNN. I heard you guys talk about this. Like, they're advertising fighter jets on CNN or playing their propaganda pieces about fighter jets they're developing on CNN. And it's like, who's watching CNN going, you know what I need? I need a new fighter jet. It doesn't make any sense that they're pumping millions of dollars into ads,
I know.
except to condition us, right?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't seen any of those commercials yet. I just heard about those last night for the first time.
Probably me too. Yeah, I don't watch CNN anymore. I try to avoid that at all costs. So, yeah. And interestingly, CNN recently fired Chris Cuomo, and you guys covered that. And now they may fire Don Lemon for doing dirty stuff as well, using the network's resources to help Jesse Smollett. I mean, who are they going to be left with? Like, after those two are the two biggest guys, right? Brian Seltzer, like, how does that guy still have a job, Ian? That guy's so boring and like terrible.
Oh, geez, I know. I don't really watch him.
Yeah, I catch clips sometimes and I laugh. Like that time somebody came on and called him out on his own show. That was awesome.
Yeah. Who was that? That was great. It makes me feel like the 80s. I was born in 79, so I was kind of like a young guy in the 80s. And this whole thing feels like CNN and Brian Stelter and feels like the big hair in the 80s. Do you remember that? Like they
Yeah,
would
the metal
spray,
chicks. Yeah, with
yeah, and
the
it would be this big,
Aquanet.
like overdone, smelly, big in the way thing. And that's like what CNN feels like. This whole CIA media op where they're trying to get people to go to war and confuse people. It's just the 80s all over again, like this gross fakeness that I'm waiting. It got shadowed over as grunge rock or something.
Yeah, grunge rock came along and got rid of that. We need the grunge rock of media, but maybe you guys are part of the solution, because that's interesting that you mentioned that, because I have thought that. Like, you watch mainstream media and it's like everybody's perfectly manicured and makeup and hair perfect and green screens and artificial environment and banners playing and it's like media and they're just pushing it down your throat. And then a lot of the independent media that I love, like Joe Rogan and you guys, it's just real. You guys are just sitting in a room and you're having a conversation and it's comes off as more genuine, right?
That's what it's about. That's why I watched Rogan's show for 5 years, since he started a couple 100 episodes in or so. That's the reality. I mean, that's what people need. Obviously it's good to get information from Brian Stelter once in a while if you don't have any and you need something. But
yeah,
it's not like, I don't think it's healthy to listen to fake stuff a lot.
Yeah, it can't be good for your psyche to be listening. And there's people that are like literally they just watch CNN and they believe everything CNN says.
Oh
And,
God, it's crazy.
We should talk about the horse dewormer thing, because that was great. Like, and I know that Tim talked to Joe Rogan when you guys had the COVID scare in the house and stuff. And by the way, I was praying for all you guys. But, Joe's not a doctor, but he says, hey, get a good doctor. Here's what I did. It worked great for me. Tim does nearly the same thing, works great for him. And the media is slandering everybody using that protocol, saying, you're using horse dewormer. And to his credit, Joe Rogan calls out Sanjay Gupta like, I got a prescription. This came from a real doctor. Like this, I can afford people medicine. Like.
And to be clear, it's a worm stunner. It's not I mean, you could call it. The horses do eventually get the worms out of their system, but that's because the ivermectin stuns the worms then the horse's body can destroy the worms. So the horse's body is actually the deworming mechanism. The medicine just stuns the worms.
Yeah, but for them to spin it that this is crazy, this is a horse dewormer, when people are getting a valid prescription from a medical professional, it's just disingenuous. It's like misleading.
It's like a kid in high school that tells lies about you to get a reaction.
Yeah, and it seems to me that the only remedy that they're willing to accept is the coming from Pfizer and the big tech companies that are paying them. So maybe they have a vested financial interest to discredit every other form of treatment, right?
Yeah, maybe they do. It's almost like a path of probability. It seems like a lot of signs point to that CNN is kind of doing the bidding of, I mean, at the very least, AT&T, which is connected with the CIA, which when you see Pfizer ads on, I don't have a clip where I can pull up a Pfizer ad on CNN, but I'm pretty sure that they were on Pfizer.
Oh no, they're loaded. If you do watch CNN, they're loaded. It's like every commercial is got a bunch of side effects. It's either from Pfizer or Lipitor, all these different weird medications. Do you have restless leg syndrome? Like, I've never even heard of that. Like, they're just it's almost like the drug companies are inventing afflictions and then giving you the cure.
They're not only inventing food, they're inventing new types of chemicals like Yellow 5 Lake. They've upgraded all their food colorings from Yellow 5 and Blue 5. Now they're Yellow 5 Lake and Blue 5 Lake. It's like coal tar.
Yeah.
Yellow 5 is coal tar. And they put that in food. And then when people start to go neurologically haywire, they develop some other chemical drug that they
just
give them to try and fix the.
Why not just let it be its natural color of the food that it is, right?
That'd be nice.
I know you're a big supporter of baking your own bread, and I got to tell you, I started doing that, and it is very therapeutic. I make French baguettes and loaves of bread, and I know what my children are eating, so it makes me feel better. I know there's nothing crazy in there. It's flour and yeast and water and butter, and yeah, we should get back to that, right?
Oh yeah, and it may be that we have no choice as inflation. I was thinking last night about Rumble. Rumble bought Locals, and I'm like,
yes.
Oh yeah, now Microsoft's going to buy Rumble. It's going for $40 billion, and I threw that number out, and I was like, well, maybe I'm being a bit hyperbolic with the $40 billion number, and then I'm like, actually, in 2 to 6 years, with inflation going like it is, you could have
it'll be worth $80 billion, maybe.
Yeah, you could have a $12 bag of bread, and then I'm like, wow, this is where my train of thought was going with that. Is like $12 bags of bread at the store. People are definitely going to be encouraged to buy flour and water and yeast and start making their own bread.
The inflation is going crazy, and I do have something else to share that we could talk about. This is interesting because we have recently got the confirmation that the White House, this is a great story. Media outlets meet with the White House to reshape coverage of Biden administration. So the White House have been hosting secret meetings with journalists in an effort to reshape coverage on the Biden administration that they view to be unfair. They want the journalists to paint a pretty picture of the terrible inflation that we have, right? And the terrible economy that we have. Should journalists be colluding with the government to offer better coverage or more favorable coverage?
I
mean, it's a loaded question, but
it is, because I'm thinking like, okay, if I was the leader of a state, how would I get my message out? I mean, today I'd make YouTube videos or internet videos. 50 years ago, I would have had to put my articles out through a newspaper. Or before they had they have those things where they have the reporters come in and ask questions. And so I get that the state needs some sort of outlet for its info, but is this stuff secret? Like, are they secretly asking reporters to?
Yeah, sounds like they're holding secret meetings with members of the media to try to garner better coverage. And it is a game of access, right? Like, if you're going to do nothing but trash the administration, Trump did it, he will cut you off and not let you in on the press briefings anymore, So I guess it's a game of access. It's a balancing act. But I thought that a journalist's job was to hold people accountable in the government for their actions and to speak truth to power. I mean, maybe I'm an idealist, but I think that's the way it's supposed to be, not have secret meetings, like, hey, what do you want us to report on tonight, Joe Biden,
Oh, for sure. The fourth estate, they call it, the news media. I mean, I'm definitely err on the side that you should not be using the media to manipulate the public. Government should not be doing that. But I mean, who am I to say for my ivory tower? Like, I've never run a government before.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
You may have to, like, if we don't manipulate the crowd's going to consume us and then start its own government that's much worse than what we have right now. So we need to, like, manipulate the plebs. I think a lot about this now. I used to think we're all equal. We're all great. And now I'm like, I think some people are better, are like more intelligent or like aware or kind or empathetic than other people. And it's not like that's always the way it is. Like, this person's always going to be better than that person. But in a moment, you take a snapshot and certain people are just fantastic. So those people then become government leaders. And then if you get a small group of fantastic people running your country or your state, and all this horde of other humans that are just eating food and crapping on the ground and dirtying up the environment, like, what do you do?
Yeah, some of the elite call those people the worthless,
Wow.
They're just, they look down on people that they don't view as productive, and I guess there's an argument to be made. There's a lot of people that are like career welfare people, they won't get a job. They refuse to work or be productive. So I guess there's an argument for that. But yeah, this media manipulation, though, I guess I didn't notice it when I was younger. I thought, okay, this is the news, and I didn't see the leaning, the political bias. I just thought this was the news. Remember when you were a kid and you watched the news with like your dad? It was just like, this is the news. It was.
Yeah.
Was it different then, or do you just remember it different?
No, it was way different before the internet was popular. I in the 90s, growing up, I remember the first Iraq war and seeing the news reporters sitting on top of the tank as it was driving through the desert. And they're like, hey, it wasn't so bad. It was pretty. But what they weren't showing us was like Fallujah, where they were dropping white phosphorus as an incandescent to light up the area. But what they're actually doing is melting the skin of the civilians that the white phosphorus was touching. And they would just use it. They would just melt people with it. Talk about chemical warfare. That was the American government using white phosphorus and Fallujah. We didn't get that in the media. So it wasn't until like Loose Change, Zeitgeist.
Yeah, we got the shock and awe, though. Remember the shock and awe?
We got the shock and awe.
They're showing it. Look at all those missiles going off.
Look at our tanks. It was like a commercial for Northrop Grumman or whoever.
I remember thinking that it reminded me of World War II Nazi propaganda films of like them marching with their tanks and the planes would fly over in another scene. And it seemed to be propaganda to me, the shock and awe thing.
Yeah.
But they got us into the Iraq war lying to us. Then they pumped up this shock and awe. Look how great our military is, which I do believe we do have the greatest military, but to manipulate the will of the people to go into this place just for, I guess, financial reasons or whatever other, Halliburton made, I guess, billions off of the Iraq war.
Cheney's company.
Mm-hmm. Is that a coincidence that the vice president's former company made billions off of a war that he propped up and helped start?
I don't think so. I don't
yeah, maybe not.
I don't know how to confirm it, but no, the guy's company he immediately got the defense contract. Dick Cheney got us into war, then got his old company's defense contract, like the biggest defense contract, and I think it's the biggest one in Iraq.
Yeah, and there was a lot of controversy about that because I remember hearing from real journalists that did some investigative work on that, where they would talk to some of the military men, and the military men were saying, look, I'm a mechanic. I'm supposed to be working on engines all day. They've got me doing guard duty, and there's a Halliburton mechanic technician that's being paid twice, 3 times, 5 times as much as me to do the work I'm supposed to be doing. And no one was ever held accountable for any of this. Kind of makes you sick,
Yeah, that's a tough knot to unwind. I guess, not, I don't think any one of us can do it alone. Part of why I'm working on decentralized internet technology, as long as people can keep talking about this stuff and spreading the information, like the architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth. I don't know if you ever saw their work.
Yes, absolutely.
They had some great videos on YouTube for over a decade. They've had some great stuff up there where they went into like the evidence of 9/11 and all that. And I found that I think I've had a hard time finding it now that it's being
Oh
started to be
no,
suppressed on YouTube.
you know Jeremy Rise, the alien scientist. We're friends. He was a big early 9/11 truther, and he did a lot of shows about that. And he says it's all being systematically scrubbed from the internet. It's all the 9/11 stuff is just slowly melting off of the internet. And he is even not quite sure why. I started looking into it, and I can confirm what he says. Like there's stuff that there used to be blogs that are just gone now. There used to be videos all over YouTube about that subject. They're all gone or going,
So decentralizing the net and making it so no one person controls if those videos can get seen. I think that's kind of the way that we'll be able to combat, CIA media manipulation in the future, or like AI control of deep fake media, which is inevitably coming.
Oh, that's another problem that's coming real soon. We won't know who's who soon.
Yeah,
we won't know what's real or what's manufactured.
Like the Covington experience, where everyone thought he was guilty before giving him a chance. Like if we're going to see deep fakes of like people getting killed, of people saying stuff, like the president saying something, of like a famous guy doing something that's all fake. That's all deep fake.
Or a famous guy like sexually assaulting somebody,
or
something like
that. Or like
that.
Putin threatening war. We'll see a deep fake of like an invasion, and then like people want to go to war over what they think is real. And the CIA
you talk about you talk about this decentralization, and you guys and a few other people sort of woke me up to the fact that you can't rely on one platform. So I want to thank you, because here's our distribution network. We're everywhere, or soon will be. Starting Monday, we're going to be on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook Live, Dailymotion, Rumble, BitChute, and I forgot to put them on there, but Odyssey as well. So we're getting decentralized here, and that's partly due to seeing you guys and other bigger, we're a small fish here, but seeing you guys do that made me say to myself, we need to be decentralized, because if one platform decides to stamp us out, we're okay. We're spread all over the internet everywhere. So thank you for that, for kind of waking me up,
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you a selfish question. For those that are maybe beginning their journey that you began so long ago on YouTube and independent media, what advice would you have for people today that are trying to get a bigger bullhorn, and increase their audience and do a bigger, better show, or just do this well? What advice would you have?
It's a different era than 2006 when I started, so the techniques are slightly different. One thing to do is work with other creators when possible. Do interviews like this, do montages with other people, post links to their stuff. If you can work it out so that they post a link to yours, you post a link to theirs. Those things make your channel get big fast. Also consistency. And scheduling, I didn't do that in the early days, which was part of why my channel.
I'm having a problem with that.
Yeah. If you set schedules and let everyone know ahead of time, really good communication through social media. People are pretty smart. They follow the links and will meet you there. That can hyper intensify your growth rate.
Yeah, I gotta nail down a show time, because we're trying to do, I don't know, between 3 and 5 shows a week. But then I have kids, and sometimes I've got the kids, and so I go, oh, we're going live at 7, and then something happens, and you go, no, I got to do it at 9. I definitely have to do that. You're absolutely right, because consistency is the key. If people know, like I know with your show, I know where you're going to be every night, and I can tune in. Sometimes I have to catch the replay if I'm doing something while you're live, or consistency. I know where to find you and where you'll be.
And
that's
then
very important.
The other piece is marketing. In the early days, I would message. Like I would go to a YouTube video like a blogger, like Bohem Ben Going was someone, and I'd go to all the people that would comment on one of his video blogs, and it was like a video that was a similar style to a video that I make, and then I would
So you go spam them. Like...
yeah, I would go message all those people, and I'd send them a direct message and be like, "Hey, check out my new video. It's about communication," and then I'd put like a link to it. But that was the early marketing machine of YouTube. It's kind of hard to do that now because, like you said, that it's considered spam a lot if you just send people unsolicited messages.
No, but I think engagement is good. Like somebody else that's a content creator that's got 10 tons more subs than me. He goes into groups, Reddit groups, where they'll let you. A lot of Reddit groups won't let you post YouTube videos because they consider anything you post spam or self-promotion. But engagement, he said, go and engage with the audience. Find audiences that may like your content, engage with them every day, spend a few hours.
Yeah, and in the beginning, I was going from 0 to 100 subscribers. Like I had 0, I had nothing. So it was every day. I would maybe this is a bit hyperbolic, but I would go and open up like 100 different people's. I would contact like 100 people a day about it, or like
and
like
figure maybe 10 will sign
every
up, right?
day,
Yeah,
every day, every day, every day.
Consistent
like
effort. Yeah,
it became my job was to get people this content. And then, of course, the content itself has got to be, it can be whatever it is. Lots of content can fly, but I think the genuine stuff is more exciting, personally, the unscripted. But I mean, you could do crazy, hilarious scripted stuff as well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And I noticed that you guys are branching out and doing all these other new projects and things like that, hiring more journalists. It's amazing to see that, it's inspiring to me to go like, these guys started a lot like me. They didn't, they didn't have billions of dollars or some corporation paying them to do this. They just figured it out piece by piece, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do it yourself, man.
Well, we're trying our best here. We're slowly growing, so I can't complain. And we have sort of a handicap because we cover conspiracies, but from a sort of skeptical angle sometimes, and we bust a lot of the frauds that are out there selling fake stories, and so we don't get too many of the woo people. And but a good example of mainstream media lies is we did a story on this Nick Pope, who is a UFO expert from the Great Britain, and he claimed that he worked for the British Ministry of Defense investigating UFOs. And we investigate that and found out that he didn't investigate anything. He just sat at a desk. And he had very little to do with anything UFOs, but he just lied about his background. And now he's all over mainstream media as a UFO expert. And none of them take the time to vet him and go, yeah, he never investigated any UFOs. So he's not, telling the truth about his background. This is another problem that they have, right? They'll just put anybody up that will have the talking points they want, right?
Yeah, especially when you're talking about UFOs, I think that's a big. There's a lot of cover up when it comes to advanced
we cover that here.
Government technology, I would imagine.
Yeah, me and Jeremy are really big, and that's mostly what Jeremy covers, and what I cover is all the UFO information, past cases, black projects, Area 51. It's one of my passions. I want to find out what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm. Talking plasma. That's
yeah.
Have you studied that stuff at all?
Yes, and mercury-based plasma, and mercury vortex plasma. That's what a lot of people theorize. Maybe mass cancellation that helps things become lighter than they are. There's a lot of Jeremy's doing, like, he's got actual labs and stuff, and a bunch of scientists, and they're trying to figure it out. And if I could pick one guy on Earth that may do it, I'd pick Jeremy. Yeah. He's the super pat. That's all he thinks about is like, how do these things work? Let's figure it out. He's got whole labs and stuff in New Jersey, full of equipment. Amazing. Yeah, guy is absolutely amazing. And also, one thing I wanted to ask you is, what is it like? What is an average day for Ian like? Because you're like a director of Minds, which is a big technology company. You're on quite possibly the biggest podcast on YouTube now since Joe Rogan left. Or the most highly rated, right? What is an average day for you like? Like, how do you accomplish all this stuff?
Well, I know I try and rest as much as possible, and focus on the show. I basically make the show my main focus of the day. So I rest before the show. I'm usually wired as hell after the show, so I'm up late, and then I'll game with some friends, or I'll read stuff, or I'll watch like a documentary, or I'll think about stuff, or I'll write stuff down. I take at least once a week. I take a meeting with the team for Open Network Foundation, which is the charity that we started, which is building the decentralized internet technology. Is basically going to make Patreon obsolete is the idea. Make Subscribestar and all these companies, locals, obsolete. That's about once a week. Although that is going to be ramping up as the charity goes live in January. And I'm not a big corporate meetings guy, but it has to happen. So
yeah, sometimes you gotta go, well, I gotta do this.
George, last night I was like, I like just being warm and relaxing. I'm like, yeah, well, so did George Washington, and I'm sure he really enjoyed being warm as he was marching through Trenton, New Jersey with his troops. So we all make sacrifices across them.
Yeah, you gotta do it, right?
I usually sleep late and then get up. I let myself kind of wake up when I wake up, and then get ready for the show, and then do the show, stay up, hang out with friends after the show.
That sounds a lot like what I've been doing, because I used to do daddy daycare, but my kids finally are both in school. So, I usually do a late show and then work on the show until 3:00 in the morning, and I'll sleep till noon. My wife deals with the kids in the morning. I just have to deal with them in the afternoon, and then I work on the show and do the live show. It becomes, I could tell that you guys put in the whole focus of all you guys, Luke, Sour Patch Liz, and Tim, is you're all about let's do a great show every day, and that's hard to do that consistently, isn't it?
It's great. It is. It's way easier with the team of people that care and want to do it as well. As soon as you get one other person that's also interested in the project and is going to put forth as much effort as you are, it gets so much easier.
I saw that. I have a helper now. So shout out to Spooky Kari, who helps me with the graphics and some of the video editing. And she's working. She inspires me because she does all this work. And then I go, well, I didn't do anything today. I got to do a whole bunch of work on the show today because she did, So you're right. That team it's more inspiring because you have people working with you and keeping you excited, right?
Yeah. And the essence of the show is communication. So even if we have no topics and we just want to talk about abortion for 2 hours, we can.
That's a tough one.
Pretty interesting. Yeah. I mean, just we could go on for 2 hours about one of the nuances of abortion. I feel like with that crew, the four of us for sure.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see Luke back. Is he going to be staying long term? Do you think? Or
Luke can't be.
Somebody asked me to ask you: is he going to stay long term, or is he going to be kind of in and out?
That's Luke's choice. I would imagine he would be in and out. He likes to travel and explore and go places. And the show is not super mobile. It's pretty mobile though. So
yeah, you guys got that RV thing going. That was amazing with Alex Jones. And is Alex Jones sort of nutty in real life, or is he like he is on camera?
Not at all. No, he's way more toned down in real life.
Yeah, got to meet him someday.
He's great.
I've been watching him forever as well, and it's terrible to see him get stamped out of social media. They tried to erase him, but he's surviving. So God bless him, right?
Yeah, that gave me a lot of motivation to keep going in the early days of Minds. Not early, but in the middle of the journey when he got smashed. It was like, dude, this is not a joke, man. This is where they get one person and then some time goes by and it's like, well, we had to do it. It wasn't that big of a deal. And they're like, oh, well, it's kind of our thing. We got rid of Alex Jones, so we're going to get rid of this guy and this guy and this guy. And it's like, it's only 4 people.
It's a slippery slope. Yeah. Do you think that they might be coming for Crowder and you guys next?
No. No. Tim's so well.
He's very careful. And he's very careful. Yeah. I see him correcting people and getting sources and saying, well, that's incorrect.
Yeah, we'll get the YouTube terms before the show and know them and then talk about them on the show so that we can tell 500,000 people that are on YouTube, these are the YouTube terms of service, just so you know. and this is how we're going to avoid breaking those terms of service. So the admins are like, thank God. And I've known people.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with that being a one-man army. So here's what I do. I just say YouTube prefers or has problems with some people who talk about the current health crisis. So I'm not going to talk about that. YouTube has had problems with people talking about the election. So I'm just not going to talk about that. And it sucks to do that, but then I don't have to worry so much. Like I can talk about aliens all I want. They don't care, you know? Just make your life easier because they change all the time, right? The terms change all the time.
They did. They just changed a few days ago. I haven't read the complete changes yet either. That's something that's interesting is you'll get an email and it'll be like, by the way, the things that we changed are like this, and this, and you don't know, like you don't see the original and the
yeah, what were they before and what does the change mean and what does the change mean for us? And as sort of a producer of a show, that's difficult to manage all the time, right?
Yeah,
because you don't even know.
We used to write terms of service for mines, and it's like, geez, when we'd have this like 15-page terms document, and then we'd go in and we'd have to change some stuff, and it's like, who's gonna read this? Like you have so much liberty to put whatever you want when you're writing your company's terms of service as a social network. Like you can be like, and if you step on this wrong, we're going to ban you. And if you type this word, we're going to ban you. And if you say this, we're going to ban you. And we can ban you for no reason at any time. And it's totally legal.
They have all the power.
All the power.
Yeah, that's what worries me is if this has become like the large portion of my income, what happens? Oh, the letter of the alphabet conspiracy. You know, that 17th letter. We don't even say the letter here. We don't even say the letter here.
Oh, I know what you mean.
YouTube doesn't like it at all. And I had a guest say the letter once and got a strike. He just talked about it, like he just mentioned it because there's YouTube algorithms listening for stuff.
An actual strike?
Well, not an actual strike. I think I got like a warning or something.
Okay, and then downranked. The show gets downranked because he's talking about
and demonetized because some guest mentioned. So now I tell the guests, we don't talk about the health crisis. We don't talk about the letter of the alphabet or the election because it just,
I think if you bring a counterpoint to it, that's something that we've kind of figured out, and Tim has hashed out with, I think, with people at YouTube. I don't know if he's actually talked to people about it, but if someone says something about like the letter of the alphabet or the medical crisis, and one of us offers like a condition counterpoint and is like, well, yeah, you said that, but the evidence shows this, then YouTube doesn't seem to care.
Yeah, I see Tim and you guys do that all the time.
If someone makes a statement and no one counterpoints it and just lets it fly, then the censors will be like, hey, this is misinformation. It wasn't countered.
Oh, that's what it was. They mentioned the letter of the alphabet in some kind of medical thing or something, and then it was like a medical disinformation or something.
They combined conspiracies.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I know you're a very busy man, so I don't want to keep you. I want to thank you so much for doing this. Can you tell me what are you guys planning for the future? Because Tim kind of like he talks about you're hiring journalists and you guys are building your own platform, but where do you see your show and you in a few years from now?
Timcast is doing great. Timcast is focusing on the journalists right now, and then we've built two other companies. There's the Truth and Media Foundation. That's actually one of Tim's charities. I'm not involved in that, and that is going to be fact-checking the fact-checkers and fact-checking news organizations.
That's so funny. That's so funny that he's doing that.
So great.
The fact-checkers are a joke.
I know. Right. And then our other charity, which I'm involved, Tim and I are both managers of, called Open Network Foundation, which is building the free software and basically like a technology package that you'll be able to download, install, and run. And then you'll have like a dashboard where you can upload videos to a server of your choice. And then people can also get the package and then search and find you and subscribe to your content and get access to your paid per view stuff. And then it'll network. So a bunch of people use the program
will be like peer-to-peer.
I would love to do a peer-to-peer, like a mesh network hosting thing. Hosting's a big part of, like, that's a big part of my thought process these days is how are we going to host? I want to do a decentralized system, but I mean, that means
you could host millions of videos if you had peer-to-peer and nobody could ever take it down, really.
Right. Library, I think, has an interesting decentralized protocol. So that's something that's basically enveloping my life right now, that and the show. and maybe another show. We'll do another show. I don't want to overextend myself, but I think that's the goal for 2022 is Open Network Foundation.
Yeah, and I'll get some information from you, and I'd be happy to do a whole show on that because I'm a big believer in open source, and especially we've got to decentralize everything so that these companies have less power over us content creators. So imagine if we all get together and work to make that happen.
Yeah,
better world for all of us, right?
Yeah, it gives people opportunity to control the narrative.
Yeah,
and the system that we use to communicate.
Yeah, because it takes the power away from the corporations. They won't be able to hold their platform over anybody if everything is decentralized and people can find you anywhere through an app or through peer-to-peer or any of that stuff, right? And maybe sure. And also the financial end of it too, because you've already done all this stuff with mines, with crypto awards, if we can get rid of the financial control that some of these platforms have.
Obsession with fiat. Yeah, you gotta. I mean, crypto, dude. We barely even talked about the fiat conspiracy. The corporation, the Federal Reserve, and the Congress is supposed to control our monetary supply. They gave it away to the Federal Reserve. That's total.
Yeah, just a bunch of rich guys got together and figured it out, though, Ian, and it made a private corporation that prints our money and lends it back to the government. There's nothing wrong here, though, right?
Congress has basically shirked their responsibility, and so we have to do it for them and take control of the monetary supply. Again, there's no reason a rampant corporation should be in control of our monetary supply.
I seen what you guys were showing some chart of the money supply and how they're printing money like crazy. That is scary.
The M1 money supply.
Yeah, they're just printing trillions of dollars, billions of dollars, trillions of dollars, and they wonder why the value of the dollar is going way down right now, right?
That's an interesting graph, the M1 money supply graph, because you see it when they declared all of savings are now part of the M1 money supply. And you see a huge spike from 12 billion or 12 trillion to 20 trillion when they were okay, now all this savings account is now part of M1 money supply. But then it's they did that.
Here's the chart. Look at it. It's so crazy.
You see that first explosive vertical leap there near the side where it just jolts 3 or 4 bars, or it starts to curve. So they introduced the savings accounts into the M1 money supply and it jolts it. But then that kind of masks, so then it kind of goes back to a 45-degree angle in the upper right there. But that's compared to what it was before that jolt, which was a 10-degree angle. They're trying to mask that by introducing the savings, I think. So if you remove that jolt there, I can't really mouse over it, but if you remove that vertical jolt, you're just going to see from a 10-degree. Yeah, it goes from 10 degrees to 60-degree angle.
That's so crazy.
Of printing.
So they just decided that everybody's savings account is now in the money supply.
Yeah, that's
and plus they're printing money left and right and what always fascinated me is that we used to be on a gold standard, and it's amazing to me that you used to be able to go into a bank with $100 and say, "Give me the gold." So it was our money used to be backed by something. There used to be a back. Now it's just paper. It's just, this is $1 because we say it is. It doesn't make any sense to me, right?
It's currency is an interesting concept. I think electricity is currency.
I heard you say this, and I love this idea. Ian's got an idea where everybody generates their own electricity. Right? What is it? You carry around little battery packs or energy credits. I've heard you say this.
A piezoelectric system, a clothing system, graphene clothing that's charging and storing your electricity.
Yeah, and if you go to the store, I've heard you talk about this. This is a great riff that Ian has. Is you generate your own power. Instead of using money, you go to the supermarket and you pay them with some of the power that you've generated at your home or
that
business.
Makes a lot of sense. Currency, the word currency, electrical current, the electrical currency is a real form of currency. So I don't know if that's a coincidence or what, but it looks like we're moving towards that as currency.
And it's worth something. It's energy.
Oh yeah, you can make water. We can condense water with it. You can do a lot of stuff.
Technically,
you can atomically print oil and food if you have the right machines.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. I know I wish we had time to get into graphene because I'm interested in that as well. You're like always mentioning graphene, right? You think that there's a big future in graphene, isn't there?
Yeah, peak graphene, I think it's projected about 2029, 2028, 2029. We're going to see like mass adoption of graphene across the world. At least that's where the numbers are pointing for it to be. As of the last measurement I did in like 2019, that's what it looked like we were headed towards. Dude. And yeah, graphene's going to change a lot about a lot of things.
Yeah, I think it has the potential to change a lot of things in the world.
It's going to be hard to monetize that. It's going to be great.
Yeah, anybody will be able to do it.
Pure carbon, dude.
Power to the people, just carbon and some machinery to manipulate carbon, right?
Yeah, turbostratic graphene's interesting. Like they take flash graphene and they take trash, any kind of carbon trash, and then you hit it, you like pulse it with lasers and turn it into these like turbostratic cards of graphene that like fall on top of each other. And then if you can get them to, I don't know if you've studied much about twistronic graphene, where you put like two.
No, but I have seen some video of them building things with graphene, and it's amazing to watch. Mm-hmm. It's almost like they're able to build structures out of it at a molecular or atomic level, like piece by piece, little by little, you know, sort of like 3D printing, but with carbon, right?
Yeah, you can do that. When they lay two layers of graphene on top of each other and then twist the layers 1.1 degrees, you get superconductivity. And now they're experimenting with like twisting one layer 1.1 degrees and then putting a third layer on top of that and twisting that another 1.1 and getting these wild. I'd have to pull up the article to explain. It was more than just a superconductor. I think it was like turning it into a. Gosh, I don't have that.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Memory lock right now.
Yeah, it's okay. This is fascinating stuff. It's like cutting edge science, emerging new technologies that I hope will soon be available for all of us. So we're a little bit over time. I apologize for that. I want to thank you so much for your time, and maybe sometime you'll come back and we will talk about the creature from Jekyll Island. We were going to do that, but I thought this mainstream media lies was a better topic since you guys have been covering so much of it.
Yeah, sounds great, man.
Okay, well, I want to thank you very much. I put where you can contact Ian. It's iancrossland.net down in the description of this video. Really, guys, give him some support. Support his efforts, because I think that he has some amazing projects coming up, and these charities of his could really change technology for all of us for the better. Thanks, Ian.
Thanks, Stephen.
All right. Boy, what an amazing interview that was. I have been a longtime supporter of these guys, and I can't tell you how happy I am to get to talk to him in person. Interesting guy, into a lot of the same stuff I am, like open source software and emerging technologies, and a big supporter of free speech and independent media. It's amazing to me that these guys by themselves just built a show that is right now beating CNN in ratings. Imagine that, beating a mega corporation at its own game, right? So we'll take some comments and questions. Welcome to the show, says great discussion. Kathy Knight says great guests, and we'll read. We're going to read the super chats. I'm sorry if I missed a few during the interview. I didn't want to interrupt us to stop every few minutes to read them, but we read every single super chat here. So if you want to support the show, there's a money button down there in the live chat. And you can send any amount you wish, or you can support us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. The link is in the description. Go over there, join, become a member. You get extra content like this. We try to post something every week, and we do a monthly show journal and sort of backstage pass. You get to see what it is we're working on before a lot of it airs. Okay, so let's read the super chats. Lee Guy with a kind and generous $1.99 says, we'll chop firewood for Philly cheesesteak. Thanks for kindness, your generosity, and your support. Welcome to the show. 99 cents, Great Britain pounds. Super sticker. Thank you. Oh, I can still put them up. So welcome to the show with a kind and generous super sticker. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. I'm trying to find the first one. It's way back there, so I apologize if I can't put that on the screen. But thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show, continued support of the show. Oh, we got it. Lee Guy with a kind and generous $1.99 super chat. It says, we'll chop firewood for Philly cheesesteak. Well, that can be arranged. I need all the help I can get at that cabin, you know. Need all the help I can get. Welcome to the show, the kind and generous 99 cent super sticker. We have unidentified S4 with a kind and generous $4.99 super chat saying, excellent show as always, my friend. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. I want to thank each and every one of you. Really warms my heart to see people from all over the world coming here and throwing a few bucks in my hat and helping us to praise the cash, friends.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
What can I say? Life is sometimes a circus, and you can either be a spectator or a ringmaster. Everybody can decide what it is that I decided. Yeah, and then identified S4 says, praise the cash. Yeah, thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Dot Tester says, very interesting, great guest. Thank you both. Well, it was my pleasure. I've been watching Timcast for quite some time now. I probably not as long as many, but I think they're doing a great job, and I'm just impressed from the perspective of an independent content creator. Like I said, it's inspiring to me. These guys started from nowhere. I think Tim Pool grew up, working class, poor like me, but he built this media empire of his own, and he did it on his own terms, and he did it without selling out to corporate interests or big pharma. And to me, that's impressive, right? So any comments or questions for me, please put them in all caps, or we are going to be wrapping things up shortly here. Don't forget, tonight we have a midnight hour show replay, and I believe that will be at, I'm not sure. I have to check in with Kari, either 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. We'll have a replay. I'll be in the live chat answering questions, and yeah, I'm going to be there to answer any questions about the replay. It is a replay, originally recorded in 2018, but okay. Paul Carter says, you want to worry about something, then worry about conscription and COG. Yeah. Most major cities have free wood pickups after they trim around city sidewalks, etc. Not mine. I don't know what they do with that stuff, Archaic Revival, but I do have Facebook. There are Facebook posts and Craigslist posts. In my area, people get trees cut down on their property or whatever, and there's two prices that the tree guy will charge. The first price is, I'm going to cut up the tree, cut down the tree, cut it up, and take it all with me. The second price is, I'm just going to cut up the tree and leave it and put an ad somewhere, and somebody will come and take it. So that's where I get a lot of firewood actually from. Spooky here says, continuity of government is no joke, and smash that like button. Walt Corbin is here for a live chat. Says, live chat, hell yeah. Good to see you, Walt. Very good to see you. Welcome to the show. Reminding everybody that you can join my Patreon. Thank you. Welcome to the show. Look at this. The Urban Way with a kind and generous. I don't know what that is. What is SEK money? We're going to have to look that up. I don't know what that is. Swedish kronar. Wow. All the way from Sweden. Kind and generous 55 Swedish kronar. We'll take your Swedish money. Thank you, Urban Way, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. And for those in foreign countries, YouTube will automatically convert your money, whatever it is. We take everything: Mexican pesos, Swedish kronar, we take Great British pounds. Any money you have, YouTube will kindly translate that to US dollars for us. So in this case, works out to about $6 or $7 US. Happy for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. I always say this: I'm blown away that there are people all over the world who are so kind and so generous that they are sending me a couple of bucks, throwing a few bucks in my hat, keeping the show going. Thank you for helping us. This is a viewer-supported show, and we are blessed with the support of so many of you from around the world, helping us to praise the cash, friend.
You're watching Truthseekers. Praise the cash, praise the cash.
So thank you very much. I think that's the first time I've ever gotten Swedish money, but we'll take it the urban way. And yeah, thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. Well, Corbin says, to see you too, I'll be here tonight. Yeah, we're doing a double shot today. I'll be in the live chat, and we're also going to be doing a Patreon-only stream this weekend, which may or may not be a drunk stream. You never know. But we will definitely be doing a Patreon-only stream. We finally worked that out, and we know what we're doing now. Last time I made a lot of mistakes. Somehow I put the live stream first. I took it down, but I put the live stream on all 3 platforms and then realized, wait a minute, this is supposed to be for the Patreon only, and they were public for the first 10 minutes, but we took those public ones down on Twitch and Facebook Live, and now we figured it out. We only put it up on YouTube. We mark it private or unlisted, I think, and then we share this. The stream link is going to be on the Patreon. Just look for my post. So sometime this weekend, we'll be doing a Patreon-only stream to thank those kind of generous Patreon supporters that give $1 or more a month. And I always say this. I don't want to exclude anybody that's a big fan of the show for lack of $1. So if you don't have $1 or more a month to throw us on Patreon, just email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com. The link is in the description below to email me. Just let me know, hey, I'm a big fan of the show, having a hard time. Can I have the Patreon links? And I'll put you on the list, and we send those out every month to people who are in reduced circumstances. And many of them, when their situation improves, then they join the Patreon. I'm good with that. We don't want to exclude you or anyone else for lack of a couple of bucks. I hate putting things behind a paywall, but you know that in this genre of business, that is unavoidable. But we do our best to try to accommodate everybody. FGraph72 says, thanks again, Stephen. I'll catch you later. Great chat today, Truth Seekers. Until next time. Yeah, good to see you, FGraph72. Always good to see you. Welcome to the show. Once again, reminding everybody where they can join us on Patreon. Yeah. So, boy, what an interesting day today was. It's not every day you get to interview somebody on a show that's got 1 million subscribers, right? I'm hoping that some of his friends will trickle down and bless us as well. Ian Crossland is very blessed. I wish him continued success in all of his endeavors and continued blessings in his life and those around him. Amazing guy. Unidentified S4 says, that's amazing that you do that. God bless. Well, it's only $1. Like, I'm not going to starve to death because somebody doesn't have $1. I'm happy to be generous with those links, especially to people that are supporters. Oh, and that reminds me, Stephen, that's so good of you. Thank you, Kathy Knight. Thank you for saying that. That reminds me that besides throwing a couple of bucks in their hat, there's one other way that you can really help us, and that is to like, comment, subscribe, share these videos. Share these videos on your social media. Share our channel link address with some friends. If you like our content, chances are some of your friends, family, relatives, whoever, people on your social media might enjoy it. So share this video on your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitch, wherever you can. It really does help. Share it on YouTube, share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter. Send this video link to a few friends. It really does help. We need to get a bigger bullhorn here. And by sharing our videos, by liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, It really does help us get a bigger bullhorn. The YouTube algorithm loves engagement, so make sure you smash that like button and hit the smash the like button and leave a comment. The comments really do help. I'm going to try to return to doing this. I'm going to pin my favorite comment from every video going forward again. So if you have a good comment that I like, we'll pin it, and it'll be the first one. Everybody gets to see my favorite comments pinned. Also, if you're listening in audio podcast land, and this is very important, we love you guys in audio podcast land, but if you're listening to an audio podcast, you're listening to a pre-recorded replay. So if you want to take part in the live tapings, the live recordings, and the live chat, that's the most important part. You hear all this great interaction between me and the live chat. You can come here, offer your comments, ask questions. Come on over to YouTube. Put Truthseekers, one word, in the search bar. Look for me, the guy with the sunglasses. That would be me, Stephen Cambion. Smash the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and you too will know when we're doing a live show. Well, friends, I've got an amazing day so far. I can't say enough how pleased I am to get to talk to somebody like Ian and have him here on my show. This may signal a change of sorts for us, that we don't have to stay in, I don't want to call it the ghetto of conspiracy land, but my point is that we don't have to stay in one lane here. If there is good and interesting people, I want to talk to them. So we're going to be welcoming some people here that may be out of our usual wheelhouse. And I hope that's okay, because I truly believe that this will help our show grow and expand to a greater audience. And also, I don't want to pigeonhole us to one topic, one thing. We're trying to broaden our horizons here, and I hope that you will indulge us in doing so. Justin Rees is here and says, nice to see you again, Stephen Cambion, and nice to see you in my live chat, Justin Rees. We'll do some shout outs before we go, but I'm going to go from the newest comment back, right? So we have Justin Rees here in the live chat, we have the Urban Way, we have Welcome to the Show, we have Walt Corbin, we have Kathy Knight, Archaic Revival, Unidentified S4, of course, is here. FGraph 72, longtime supporter of the show. Spooky, of course, is here. We have Aces Abstract in the live chat. Walt Corbin, Madam Two Swords. We have the Urban Way. We have Paul Cargo is here. Shout out to Paul Cargo. We have Dot Tester is here. I love that user ID. Welcome, Dot Tester. We have, boy, I'm going to just share this. How do I say that? Birch Iwanye. Sorry if I messed that up, but you are very welcome, even if it's hard for me to pronounce your user ID. Kate Schneider is here. Always happy to see Kate Schneider. Shout out to Kate Schneider. Good to see you here, Kate. You are most welcome here. And we have Matt R. is here. Matt R. We have Zach Robinson is here. Brian Kelly is here. We mentioned Zach Robinson is here. Glitched is here, who just subscribed. New subscriber, Glitched. Welcome to the show, and thank you for smashing that subscribe button. We need 80,000 more people just like you to do exactly that. That would really help us. Matt R. with an interesting comment. I did have a psychic premonition of what Biden is going to do with all that money they're sending people around right now to buy up ammo at 25% over spot. Next Fast and Furious scandal. I have heard something about the ammo supply, Matt R. So, yeah, that's very interesting thing. And who knows? We have Space Exposure is here. Intel Lady is here. We have official Alien Gandalf is here. Shout out to Alien Gandalf. Chibi Zilla is here. Shout out to Chibi Zilla. And I'm trying to make sure we get everybody. I don't know how to say this. Looks like 2 slashes is here. I don't know. The only reason I got into aliens and religious stuff, I wanted to know what it took me down mythology and that sorts of thing. Yeah, we all come to this thing from different angles. Chibizilla is here. Shout out to Chibizilla. Good to see so many people here in the live chat. We have Walt Corbin is here. We have Too Much Information is here, saying hi to Spooky. Hi to Too Much Information. I mentioned Madam Two Swords is here. Shout out to Madam Two Swords. I'm trying to see. We have Justin Rise is here. Shout out to Justin Rise, or is it Justin Rees? You can correct me in the live chat. Names are important. I want to say them correctly. I mentioned Paul Cargo is here. Shout out to Paul Cargo. Still going through this live chat, trying to shout out anybody that I missed. If I did miss you, say, hey, I'm here in the live chat. Zaxonite is here. Good to see you, Zaxonite. Shout out to Zaxonite. Cosmic Neighbors is here. Ron from Cosmic Neighbors. Oh, by the way, Ron from Cosmic Neighbors sent me these amazing, look at this, these amazing alien busts that he made with his 3D printer, which is coincidentally the same 3D printer that he sent me, I believe. He sent me a 3D printer. Very generous of Ron from Cosmic Neighbors, and a robot kit for my son Xavier to put together. These are some pretty amazing alien 3D printed things. I'm going to put them here in my office. Thank you so much, Ron, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Except I'm a little pissed at you because my kid keeps asking me to build that robot. And I looked in the box and I went, this is going to be a little complicated. This is going to take some time, right? But we'll get to it, right? So Ron from Cosmic Neighbors, very generous supporter of the show. If you like our coverage of UFOs and aliens, please go over to his YouTube channel, Cosmic Neighbors, and smash the subscribe button for him too. Tim Frick is here. Shout out to Tim Frick. We have Off-World Adam is here. Shout out to Off-World Adam. Good to see you here. Lee Guy is here. Shout out to Lee Guy. We mentioned Kathy Knight is here. Trying to make sure that we shout out every single one of you. We want to make sure that you know that we appreciate the live audience. In fact, I always say this. You guys know I'm always happy when there's an audience. I come here and there always is an audience. Today we had a great one. Thank you for coming here and being part of mine. Shout out to M. Kelly. Shout out to Coral On is here. Dog the Bounty Hunter is here. I don't think that's the real dog, but Keenan Smith is here. Shout out to Keenan Smith. Good to see you here. Tommy T is here. Boy, the one time I was abducted by aliens is here. Glad to see both those guys. We're going to be doing an interview with them next week. We're going to hear all about alien abductions. My Knee Grows is here. Unknown Sender is here. I think we got Andrew Minkst is here. Alien Girl 111. Glad to see you here. I mentioned Lee Guy is here. Shout out to Lee Guy. Boy, we've got a big Lord Ludicrous Plaid is here. Shout out to Lord Ludicrous Plaid. Alex Kolka is here. Shout out to Alex Kolka. And I think JT Corey is here. Blinkin' Liar is here. Alex Kolka, I mentioned already. Teddy Lindloff is here. And Jacqueline Holsworthy is here. I think we got you all, but I'll go back to the beginning of the chat. Yeah, I think we shouted out everybody for once. Imagine that. So shout out to all of you kind and generous listeners, viewers, and live chat participants. I love it. I love it. We need more of you guys here to make this thing work. And your participation does make it work. And by liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing, that really does help our show. Oh, yeah, Spooky mentioning this. Shout out to Luke Rudkowski for having the best political shirts. Yeah, we're going to try to ask him to be on the show. And yeah, he does have the very best political shirts. So shout out to Luke. I'm happy that he's back at Timcast. I hope he'll be staying for a while. Chris Johansson is here. Sorry that I missed you, buddy. Glad to see you here, Chris Johansson. Welcome to the show. Good to have you here. Welcome to the show is here as well. Yeah, I think we got all of you. Stargate Traveler is here. Kathy Knight is here. Okay, now I think Andy Gamamine is here. The Urban Way is here. Now I think we got you guys all. Chris Price is here on Facebook Live. Good to see you watching, Chris. David DB is here. Tommy T, I think I mentioned already. I think we got you all. And if I missed you, I apologize. Marco is here. Shout out to Marco. Yeah. And Walt Corbin saying, "Let's go, Brandon." That's one of my new favorite songs. And I'm going to get some shirts. Let's go, Brandon. Yeah, absolutely. So what can I say, folks? I had a great time doing this. Some of these interviews, I can't wait. I go, this is going to be fun, and, I think that translates well. Like, people know when you're having a good time and you're having a good conversation and it's not so scripted or effort, like Ian said during this. It's genuine, it's real, it's unscripted. People respond well to that. And, I can't say that I disagree with him. I think unscripted is best. I think we do our best shows here when, I have some general ideas of what the show's going to go like, but we don't try to, massage it to death with pre-planning every little thing. I like the interviews where I write a list of questions, and some of them I get to and some of them I don't. I sort of jump around, and that's what we did today. Worked out well. I want to thank Kari for the thumbnail and for supporting doing this today. And Spooky's doing an amazing job. There's new stories coming up on Billy Carson and on Corey Good. Corey Good bombshell is coming, friends. It is coming soon, as early as next week. I think we're going to be running that. So what can I say? That's my alarm telling me it's time to pick up my child from the bus. So I really do got to bounce out of here right now. We'll be back later tonight. I believe at 8 or 9 p.m. I'll have to check that, but I will tweet it out in the next hour or so. The show for tonight, which is a midnight hour show. What can I say? I want to thank my guest today, Ian Crossland. God bless him, Tim Poole, Luke, and Sour Patch Liz, and the whole crew over there. I think they're doing great work, and I wish them the best of continued success with their show going forward. So what can I say, friends? Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good afternoon, and God bless all of you.